So, hello everyone. I am here with an amazing gentleman. I gave you guys a teaser about him a week ago, and this is Dean Hall. And he is the gentleman, and I'll let him tell you more about what he was diagnosed with, but it was with leukemia, but I'll have him give you the exact diagnosis. And my whole point in wanting to talk to him is because God has other ways that we can look at to help with our bodies. And in Psalms 23, it said, He leadeth me by the still waters and restoreth my soul. And I talk a lot about natural medicines, but nature is also medicine. And this is where Dean comes in, because he used nature to heal his leukemia. So I am so grateful for you, Dean, and just for taking the time. So please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Lynette. Yeah, I did use nature. I didn't know that's what I was doing. Actually, I feel like God was using nature on my behalf. I was diagnosed with leukemia 4 days before Christmas in 2006. At first, they told me they only thought I had about 6 weeks to live because I had features the oncologist had never seen before. I had features of both acute and chronic, and my numbers were escalating in the thousands and tens of thousands almost hourly, and so they didn't know what to do. Thankfully, it went down to chronic leukemia, which buys me a lot of time, and I got better, and I had a pretty tough time 2007, 2008, but then I went into as much a remission as you can in chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and things were going fine. And then all of a sudden, my wife got sick, and she'd never been sick. She was the healthiest person I know. As a matter of fact, she was so Baptist that by the time she died, she'd never even tasted beer in her life. I mean, this girl always stayed healthy, did all the right things, but turns out she had an inoperable brain tumor, was the largest our neurologist had ever seen, and 52 days after he found that, she was gone. 15 days for our 30th anniversary. And the trauma of that was so significant that within a year, the leukemia came back and brought with it lymphoma. And I was a certified, licensed clinical therapist, had a thriving private practice, but I pretty much just had to sell that because it wasn't fair to sit and listen to people when I couldn't really listen. Right. And I never really even cried in my entire life. And all of a sudden I couldn't even discuss the weather without crying. I was just so shattered. And so I sold my private practice in her little Kansas town that I'd lived in for 30 years because I loved her, and moved back to my hometown, Portland, Oregon, and thought it would be a wonderful move. But then I realized, I'd lost my wife and all my adult friends now, and I'd given up my private practice, which had been a large part of my identity. And so now I was renting a dark little So by 2013, I was dying of leukemia and lymphoma. I was down to 152 pounds. The biggest thing on me were my lymph nodes under my jawline. And I just realized I really didn't care anymore. Well, I'd helped a lot of people come back. I'd just been begging God for a purpose or something to get me excited about life again. And I'd read Viktor Frankl's work, Man's Search for Meaning, and I knew if I had a significant purpose for living, other than my daughter, which I dearly loved, that maybe that gave me a chance to live. And so I would pray about 5 times a day, and asked for a purpose.
Wow.
And a month later, it was still crickets. And so I looked around and I thought, well, I lived in this little duplex like a bachelor, actually like a frat boy. I hadn't even put my bed together, and it had been 6 months. I thought, maybe I should be an adult here and actually decorate and, put my bed together and that sort of thing. But I'd been so depressed, I hadn't cared. So I unpacked the box and I found a journal I'd been forced to keep when I was in 6th grade. And it said, when I get old, I gotta climb Mount Everest, swim the English Channel. And a shock just went through me. I remembered the boy that I had been, that I'd forgotten, and the dreams that he had had. And very quickly, I knew I couldn't climb Everest because the altitude and my blood counts just wouldn't work, and I didn't have the money to get over there. But I knew I could swim the English Channel. And then I thought, why would I go a long ways away when I could swim? No one had ever swum the entire length of the Willamette River. And 30 years earlier, I'd become obsessed with this, but I'd done the responsible thing, Lynette, and not done it because there were other things I had to do. But that goal came back and I became passionate about it. I started to swim against my doctor's advice. He said, you get in a public pool, it could kill you because your immune system's so bad.
Yeah.
But I thought, I'm dying anyway. And so I started swimming, and the more I swam, the better I got, the more my head cleared. And then a year later, I became the first person in history to swim the entire length of the Willamette River. It's a snowmelt river, so it was between 42 and 45 degrees.
Wow.
I'd have to get out every 30 minutes because I'd be going into deep hypothermia, or what they call thrombosis. And I'd have to jog in place to warm up. It took me 22 days, but then the first blood test I took after that, and the only reason I did it, I had two main reasons. My secret reason was to show my daughter that I was healthy and well enough that I was going to live. I wasn't going to die like her mama had.
Yeah.
The second one, and the one I published, was I wanted to inspire other cancer patients to refuse to give up.
Yes.
And little did I know that cold water, nobody was doing cold plunging back in 2014, and there was no research to show how it boosts your immune system. Well, 22 days in freezing water almost all day long. The first blood test I took, my leukemia was miraculously gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing and powerful. Oh my gosh, just the grit that you showed in doing that is just amazing to me. Absolutely amazing to me. Thank you so much for sharing your story. So for all of you that want to hear the rest of the story, because when I first saw his video on Instagram, I had to know the rest of the story. So I went and bought the book, and I will tag him in this video and the book. You have to buy it. It is called The Wild Cure, and it talks about his journey, and it's written so well. It's a great read. I laughed, I cried, I was so inspired because of just your strength and your grit and just this one last hurrah that you wanted to do before you started your treatment. It was just, I was just amazed, and I'm usually not speechless, but I was speechless when I was reading the book because it was great. I will share with you a quick little story. I work for a packaging company, and we did a lot of work with a box company, and my name is Lynette, so I would always pronounce this company Willamette. And so when you said in your book Willamette, it reminded me of the production manager. So when we would say Willamette, he finally said, "It's Willamette, damn it." And so now that just stuck in my head. I will never call it Willamette. I call it Willamette. But Dean, good. I just really appreciate you taking the time because I know you're busy. I know you also do counseling. You do so much now because you're using your journey to help other people. And I am just so grateful for you. So thank you so much for your time.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Thank you.